friends, I'm Pastor Diana. Welcome to a daily devotion. Thank you so much for taking a few moments out of your day to reflect on God and your relationship with God, and inviting me along too. This week, we're exploring the theme of learning to walk in the dark. And it's based on a book by one of my favorite authors, Barbara Brown Taylor. And in this book, one of the things she points out is that many of us are afraid of the dark, and that this being afraid of the dark often starts in childhood. And I don't know about you, but that was the case for me. I always wanted to sleep with a light on. But there was one ritual that we had that made me feel a little bit less afraid of the dark and a little more comfortable. And that was reading a poem by Shel Silverstein. My mom would read it, or when I started reading, I would read it to her. And this is how it goes. I'm Reginald Clark, and I'm afraid of the dark, so I always insist on the light on, and my teddy to hug, and my blanket to rub, and my thummy to suck or to bite on, and 3 bedtime stories, 2 trips to the toilet, 2 prayers, and 5 hugs from my mommy. I'm Reginald Clark, and I'm afraid of the dark, so please don't close this book on me. And then I took great joy of closing that book every time on Reginald Clark. And you know, it made me a little less afraid of the dark and of closing my eyes and going to sleep. And you know, that's really important. If we are afraid of things, sometimes we won't have the courage to face them and to walk through them and to see what treasures they bring. Barbara Brown Taylor points this out. She asks this really great question. She says, "The question remains, how do we develop the courage to walk in the dark if we are never asked to practice? If we allow that fear of the dark to keep us from never walking in the dark, if we're never able to practice walking in the dark, even through simple things, even with going to bed and closing a book on Reginald Clark, how are we supposed to learn how to put those practices into place that will give us the courage to walk through them?" Because you know, there are some things that happen in the dark. Fortunately, in our biblical story, we have some examples of what can happen if we learn how to walk in the dark. One of our stories is this one from Genesis, where we hear the story of Jacob wrestling with God. Jacob got up during the night, took his 2 wives and his 2 women servants and his 11 sons, and crossed the Jabbok River's shallow water. He took them and everything that belonged to them, and he helped them cross the river. But Jacob stayed apart by himself, and a man wrestled with him until dawn broke. When the man saw he couldn't defeat Jacob, he grabbed Jacob's thigh and tore a muscle in Jacob's thigh as he wrestled with him. The man said, "Let me go because the dawn is breaking." Jacob said, "I won't let you go until you bless me." He said to Jacob, "What's your name?" And he said, "Jacob." And then the man said, "Your name won't be Jacob any longer, but Israel, because you struggled with God and with men and won." And Jacob also asked, "Tell me your name." But he said, "Why do you ask for my name?" And he blessed Jacob there. Jacob named the place Peniel, because I've seen God face to face, and my life was saved. You know, Jacob was going through a hard time right then, and he was escaping at night. And it was at night that he wrestled with God, and he was able to meet God face to face, and his life was saved. And he was able to wrestle with God in such a way that he was blessed. Learning to walk in the dark. It takes courage to face our fears of the dark. Like Reginald Clark, who we might close that book on. I wonder what happens after he does that. After the book is closed and he's in the dark. I wonder if he has the courage to walk in the dark. I wonder if you do. So let's practice. What does it mean to walk in the dark in your life? Will you pray with me? Gracious and loving God, help me to face my fears. Help me to have the courage to walk in the dark. Help me to have the courage to wrestle with you, to know that when I meet you face to face, that you will name me and bless me, and that through you, my life is saved. Amen. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you want to explore more about what it means to learn to walk in the dark, make sure you sign up to attend our book club that will be starting next week on Wednesdays at 7:30. So look for some information. I hope you'll join me. I love this book and I can't wait to discuss it with you. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so that you don't miss a single one of these devotions. And I hope you have a blessed day.